Welcome, everyone. This is Nichel Anderson for my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. In this particular episode, 53, I will be focusing on the topic, the road to forgiveness. This is part 3, and this a continuation of the forgiveness series that I did last year, the road to forgiveness part 1 and part 2. And I decided I wanted to do another episode because forgiveness is hard. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining me today in this podcast. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. In this day, I am thankful to the prime creator of all things, that I give thanks for this blessing and opportunity, that I will use it for the greater good. So welcome, my survivors of the journey, to my podcast that aims to inspire and motivate, that you will continue to have joy, peace of mind, and for your sustained success. So let's go ahead and get into where I will focus on my important points. Before I actually get to do that, let me look at the first part where I want to focus on, or will focus on in this podcast, talking about how in the process of choosing to forgive, when you are ready, and what are those entanglements. So we're going to kind of focus on that and how that can prevent you to be in a forward movement on your road to forgiveness, and how that can prevent you to let go when it's time to do so. Also focusing on the understanding in the interactive matrix that can prevent some experiences of you staying in one state of mind, you in between of accepting it or forgiving it. On the flip side of that, which I would like to say the other side of the road to that, are the persons or the people that have done the negative deeds and how they're going through their own struggle. And so when we both understand both of these roads that lead to forgiveness, we become more not only understanding of the process, but more of acceptance. All right, so that's what I want to talk about, so we can get to the main point of getting that mental peace. Okay, so let's focus on my important point 1 of my segment here. Forgiveness is earned, not given. And so those on the side of the road that was victimized, to choose to let that person back in their life is key, and it's their choice, because choice in this part 3 of my series of forgiveness will be the main focus to connect with the other parts, that part 1 and part 2. So in this particular series here, in which choice by the victim and the doer of the negative deeds, the person that did the negative deed that you in this circumstance or had been, determines the initial imbalance or the balance, as mentioned before in my other series, part 1 and part 2. So we must recall, as I mentioned, that in my previous series of forgiveness, is that forgiveness is the second phase to the number 1 state of what the person needs to be in. And I'm talking about on the victim and as well as the person that did the deed, is the state of awareness. All right, for you to have acceptance of all of it, not part of it. I know some people, even on both sides, the victim and the person that did the victimization, they choose to only accept a part of it, or they deflect and put the responsibility on the other person, when really it's really the person that actually did it, right? The person is victimized, they don't want to accept it, so they only want to see part of the truth. So acceptance is truth. Truth is acceptance. I'm going to repeat that because that's what I want you to remember from this episode of my series of the road to forgiveness. Okay? Acceptance is truth. Truth is acceptance. Now, there are entanglements that aim to pursue your choice to skip the road of a journey towards acceptance and get on the exit, right? Take that exit to the road to forgiveness way too early. So both sides of the road of people that the people that are traveling on this road has to stay focused to your healing. Healing takes time. Okay? And those that are doers of negative deeds, your acceptance is in this process as you heal as well, is what's needed to get an understanding to why your choice led you on the road to where you are at this moment of time, when the deed was done and you knew it was negative, but you still did it anyway. So you have to get to the root of that as well. So my wisdom point, part of my segment now, is that forgiveness is earned, not given. Forgiveness is understanding to the why, by whom, from both sides of the road of situations. Thus, the therefore, in choice, we choose how long it would take to get to the road awareness of forgiveness that releases the tension and uncomfortability. You're not comfortable about it, and to get past all of that so you can reach your mental peace. Okay, so it helps to release the tension and the stress and feeling uncomfortable so you can get your mental peace and joy. So why is this so? As mentioned in other part of my previous series on the road to forgiveness, there are two roads of the highway, right? Two roads on the highway. One by the doer of the deeds that was negative done to you, and the other lane is, of course, the victimized person, the one that's traveling has got to deal with all of this mess. So you have to imagine that you're driving down the road, someone cuts you off in a forceful way while you minding your business, and out of nowhere they just cut you off. So you feel jilted, because someone just cut you off in a forceful way, not even trying to apologize, wave a hand up and say, oh, I'm sorry, nothing. They just keep going. So you feel jilted. You feel pushed to the side, that your feelings and safety don't matter. And the car driver that cuts you off don't realize at the moment, or don't care of the imbalance of the once mental peace you had until that moment. So there is a ripple effect in life. That old sage wisdom is true. And what that is they say, what is done to others will be done unto you. So it is a part of the circle of life. So who are we talking about? Well, both sides of the experience requiring us to decide. A, accept the truth of the doer of the negative deeds intent, or B, and the doer of negative deeds to confess and do necessary work by their acceptance. I can share with you in my previous experiences I have encountered where the doer of negative deeds refuses to make any type of acceptance, any type of acknowledgement. Like, it doesn't even matter. We call that here in the United States gaslighting, and also just being not humble enough to accept the harm. And so they can either apologize, some don't even do that. And so the pain continues because you're coming to the table, or you're pulling your car off the road. Maybe it was an accident when the person cut you off and hit your car. And so the policeman comes to document everything. That's the scale of balance, right? And we got to come to an understanding who did what, why, and who's responsible, and what you're going to do afterwards. You see what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about. So does it look like an acceptance and then the road to forgiveness? Do you just automatically just jump to forgiveness? Well, when both accept what happened through intent, for instance, the victim intent was, in my earlier example about driving on the road, you got cut off, was minding their business, trusting the scene. Everyone is driving per law accordingly in their lane to get to their destination. And the doer of negative deeds have to accept that their intent was to control the road beyond their lane that impacted someone else. So that person can choose to apologize and move to a position that the innocent driver can get acknowledged for their feelings and their safety. To get to that balance, they have to take the first step. When they don't take any step, it's the victim side on their road. It has to acknowledge and work through all that crap, all those feelings, all those emotions, all that negativity. So the person that's going through that, the victimized, has to consider to accept and to forgive and move on. Only if the innocent driver can accept. Right now, let's focus on entanglement. The entanglements that can come on the road where you're trying to get to your destination of joyfulness, right? Then this could be family members, co-worker, a significant other that changes the game. So what are some strategies to deal when you have those entanglements? Because it's an emotional connection that holds on, and it's almost if they ask you in different ways, right, to give them a free pass card. Yes, I did that. Yes, this happened. Sometimes they don't acknowledge it, but they know that what they did, and they just want you to go ahead and well, just accept it in a sense. But acceptance can take years, not a minute, not a second. Now we could say depending on the incidents that happen, it could be less, right? But those are more easier to process. Oh, okay, that happened. You accept it. Oh, no problem. You can go on. But I'm talking about the ones that stick like tar on your heart and on your mind, and that affects your choices in life. The main reason that you're going through some things, or you have been, and you're trying to still stay on track and not fall back, is because of those entanglements that most is so painful. They don't leave easy. And now, as I have gotten to a position of awareness of it, I can understand why that the struggle was so hard to get to forgiveness, and why my heart clenched up when they was preaching, you need to forgive me, it's you. They put the blame on you. You are re-victimized when they do that, because they haven't done nothing. They even stopped the police showed up for the accident. You're there. They kept on driving. Or if they did stop, they look like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't, the evidence is all on their car. They hit your car. They still in denial, still refuse it, still playing the gaslighting on you. And you go ahead and you said, okay, I just go ahead and forgive, and want me to move on, because acceptance is a lot of pain. You have to walk over those coals. You have to drive over that bumpy ride that shakes your whole being. It's a trauma. You're traumatized by that. And it's a struggle. And you need assistance from the person that actually did the deed. But for the most of us, they won't even give you the assistance and give you the deeds of good by apologizing, accepting it, working with the realm, or working around what you need. Maybe you're not ready to see them. Maybe you don't want to talk to them yet. Some of them are so aggressive. They're like, you going to talk to me no matter what. You just need to forgive me and forget it. That's not the right process in life. That's not the circle of life. Circle of life is in process to it. Plants goes through different phases. Trees go through different phases. Seasons go through different phases. You get what I'm saying? So you have to acknowledge that. Both sides have to acknowledge it to get to the road of forgiveness, right? It's not easy. And when you're tied to someone emotionally, they seem to say certain things to make you think you are obligated to just get over it and to accept it. Acceptance is the longest part of this two-tango interaction. Acceptance can take decades. Sometimes people never accept it. And for those that are quick to forgive and don't give themselves to heal, or the other person is quick to ask for forgiveness and don't do the necessary work to fix that road, that they got to create a bumpy road, pave it out. Even when they pave roads, it takes long. You just don't pave a road. No, they evaluate it. They see what it is. They put markers on it so other cars don't come by. They do several different phases before that road is repaired. You get what I'm saying? So let's look at your strategy to succeed. Always remember, forgiveness is earned, not given, soon after the incident occurred. But that's not how our mind and heart gets back to, gets back into alignment. I don't care how convincing the doer of the negative deed says, or do minor attributes to show they change. You got to know that it takes time. Acceptance takes time. So now on the side of the road of the doer of negative deeds, must identify the root to why they did it and their intent in the rootedness, in the rooted fact that that's what it is. They have to accept that. So they must identify the root to all of this, or why they did it. That's their intent. And to accept it along their journey, to even think, okay, I'm going to ask for forgiveness before you even ready to accept it. I'm going to repeat that. Do with a negative deed, most of them for whatever reason say, I'm going to ask for you to forgive me even though you haven't even accepted from the other, while they are moving down their lane of processing it. You got to go through the process. I mean, acceptance is like 4 or 5. I give about 10 different cycles if we're talking about getting through acceptance. So the next strategy to succeed is entanglements are either people or situations that work against you to bypass acceptance to what happened and choose accordingly, such as emotional connection to others, as I mentioned, family members, co-workers, significant others. That you got to also, entanglements is part of the weaponize effort by Mr. Fear. All right, and Mr. Fear is what I treat about. It's what I feel is something that you feel but you do not see. And it's tied into this tangle arrangement on your journey against you. So we have to, the concept to that is that the aim of that for you to hurry to forgive and not look at the situation and get to the acceptance. So we can't hurry to forgive because we want to continue the road path journey to what we thought it was going to be with that person that we're emotionally and strongly connected with. We have to notice that when we are not emotionally attached or connected to those people that done some negative things or cut you off, you don't even know that person, right? Or maybe stepped on your foot by accident. We let go of it and we move on, right? Off that road of experience and accepting, oh, that happened. And in that process of acceptance, that we can easily forgive or forget about it. You see, there's a difference. So we got to take the phase of the road path that we must be cautious and patient with ourselves, that we will get to the destination of the second part in this, which is forgiveness. Okay, and vice versa for the person that did the negative deed, to be patient with them, with themselves, right? And in accepting the blame, the responsibility, but moving forward to deal with it and taking action. When you don't do any action, how can you expect the other person to be in a mindset that will accept you in their life if you don't do nothing, or you do the same thing you did before that led to the situation? You get what I'm saying? So you have to be proactive to be productive, and that's the forwardness. All right, so your task to dusk to dawn is you got to keep repeating, no matter which side of the road that you're on, that forgiveness is earned, not given. Forgiveness is earned, not given. Forgiveness is earned, not given. So your motivational takeaway today is that in our acceptance, we heal ourselves over time. That gives us divine mental and joyfulness, forwardness. I'm going to repeat that. Your motivational takeaway. In our acceptance, we heal ourselves over time. That gives us divine mental and joyfulness. All right. For joining me for my podcast episode from my podcast show Surviving Your Journey to Success, just to give you some information to not only stay in contact but with the other things that I offer. I provide career consultation, offering the first 30 minutes are free. Thereafter, there is a fee access afterwards per hour and can be discussed on a case-by-case basis depending on your need. So if it is an emergency and you need some consultation regarding your career or choices that you're about to make moving forward, in a sense, in your personal type objectives, then you can definitely contact me. The primary way to contact me is by email, which is info@nichelanderson.com. Now, I do have a toll-free number on my website. Now, that is actually only for webinars, when I'm doing like a free webinar and you're calling in. Once that number is through that medium, and it's only really for that, so it's not really connected to me directly. Now, I am working on that, but for right now it's not really, and when that changes, you would definitely get a notice of that to go forward. So just to recap, my primary way is info@nichelanderson.com. All right, so the other thing I want to share with you is that I also provide business courses and self-improvement courses. So that overall objective is to help you to create strategies that work for you, to get you motivated, to identify the ways to get your or keep your joy and your mental peace. So I do provide that on the basis of your objective to gain success, and as I like to say, sustain success. You can find information on my courses that I release on my official website, which is www.nichelanderson.com, and you can go there and you can look at the different courses that I am releasing that are available. These courses are self-paced. They will be identified if they're considered to be like live sessions on a regular basis, but for the most part they are self-paced. During that time, I do have live sessions that once you have signed up for the course, you will see that in the schedule of what days that I'm available live, that you can talk to me and we can go over the courses going forward, right, on those particular topics. So that information is basically on my website that you can go to, which is nichelanderson.com. Now, I want to do a special call out for listeners that I have seen in my stats that are following me, continue to follow me, which I am thankful for. Now, to get connected more, to stay connected, I'm asking you to consider to join my newsletter that I do send out. And to do that, you just have to submit, of course, your name and your email. I don't spam. You can always request to be taken off the list. I don't send thousands of emails because I don't like thousands of emails from a particular source. So I keep it in a way that's informative, of course, because obviously you like the content because you hear and you enjoy it and you're getting something from it, which pleases me. To expand that and to move forward and to get into other ways that I can expand what I'm trying to do is to form a newsletter, to get that set up in the sense that I'm communicating that I can send that out more quickly, actually, through a podcast or any type of thing or production that I'm doing, where a newsletter is more, in the sense, faster to get that contact and to send it out on blast, right? And more opportunity to send more content compared to like social media characters to be able to get that message out. So do consider that to join my newsletter by providing, and you can find that link at the end of each episode. I have that link to basically to sign up here for Nichel E-List Tips newsletter. And you could do that and you can see that and click it. It's a short form, online form. It is secured and you can complete that. All right. The other thing I want to talk about is basically to subscribe to this podcast. If you haven't, please go ahead. Of course, this is going through Podbeam. I have 2 podcasts. This one, of course, you're listening to is Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. And you can subscribe. Of course, you should see the subscribe button here at the bottom of this episode or at the top, whichever device that you're using. Now, I'm also available on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, on Google Play, on iTunes, and any other podcast directories for feed distribution. You can connect that way and subscribe. And if you like it, share it. Now, I am on social media. And so you do hear me a lot talk about Twitter. I'm mostly active on Twitter. I'm also active on Facebook. For the most part right now is Twitter. And I like the whole concept of keeping it short and sweet. In my closing, I want to say thank you again for joining me today. Here is my closing statement for you. Be you that strengthens and inspires your ability to be strong in your journey endeavor. It's a good thing towards your mental peace and joy, always to your success.